Girlfriend of 4 years cheated twice and then moved in with her side piece. How do I cope? Sorry for the long post. I 22M had been with this girl 23F for 4 years. We were incredibly close, the both of us. We did almost everything together. It really felt like a truly incredible loving relationship that would last forever. I'm assuming you'll hear that a lot though. Now obviously I regret it, but I gave everything I could to her. I used to work this city job that I hated while I was in school to pay for plane tickets to see her. We were long distance for the first year and a half of our relationship, although we'd stay with each other during winter and summer breaks from school. I regret doing it especially now because I hindered my own development as a person in school and life goals just to be there for her, to help her, to build her up. But a couple months ago I found out the first time. She said she was going to see someone from work, whom I knew and trusted, and she'd be back by evening. What she didn't tell me was she went there with a friend she met from work. It was already late evening, and I was wondering where she was, so I checked my Snap map, and found she was at some random house. I called her. She picked up almost immediately and was clearly upset that I had called. I asked what she was doing. She said that she was just resting at a friend's house for a bit, as the person she visited from work lived far away. I didn't believe her, and I was upset, so I persisted. Why would you be alone at some random guy's house, whom I've never met before? She swore to me it was nothing. She cried, she argued and even blamed me for being too much in her business. I let off. But afterwards she became suspiciously much more clingy. A couple days later, I was suspicious. I peeked at her while she was on her phone and saw she was texting somebody. I told her if it was that guy. She said yes. At that point, I was pissed, and I demanded I see the texts. She argued and screamed and told me I was out of line, that I'm invading her privacy. Eventually, she caved, and admitted that she slept with him that night. She showed me her phone, and nothing could compare to the amount of pain I felt reading those texts. The guy was very clearly hitting on her, even boasting about how good a lay she was and how he probably got her close to climax. This was the girl I gave my life to he was talking about. I guess she loved the attention. I was destroyed and so upset. I yelled at her, everything in the book. She was crying, pleading and begging for me to forgive her. She told me she actually hated the guy. She told me that the time wasn't actually good. She told me she learned that she actually likes me more and she was just curious experimenting. I stopped talking to her for almost a week. I told family and friends. They were helpful, but they didn't tell me I should cut her off because they knew how close we were and they knew I'd go back to her. I did go back to her. She immediately told me everything in the book to win my heart back. She said we were made for each other. She said God gave me the strength to forgive her and that He wants us to be together. Nearly every day she wouldn't waste any opportunity to tell me how great I was and how I was perfect for her. She even planned a week-long romantic trip together, just for me and her, to show how much she cared. This will come up again later. I told her she had to get rid of the guy, and she blocked his number in front of me, and told me she confronted him and told him he had to get out of her life. Problem was, they worked together, and they were in the same friend group. And as I would learn, although not specifically, they could contact each other through other ways. She didn't do enough to get rid of him, just enough to hide it from me. Almost a month passed by, and one day, she seemed to start cracking. She talked to me privately and told me that she's been having selfish thoughts. She never told me what. The next day, when I was feeling bad and tried to turn to her for comfort, she seemed to snap. She told me she couldn't do it anymore, that she was a terrible person, and that she would rather die than face the consequences of her actions. In my heart I knew it was over, but I stupidly desperately wanted to keep the high of our relationship alive, so I comforted her and told her she could push through, as at the time, I believed she did get rid of him and was actually trying to move forward with this relationship. The day after that, she told me she was going out to dinner with friends, and that in order for her to cool down and have a good time, that I wouldn't be allowed to text her at all during her outing. She made sure to mention all the friends she was going with, all whom I trusted. She promised it was just dinner. In my head I thought this might be good for me, because if I could power through the fear of her lying to me that day, I could grow my trust in her. Problem was, she was lying, again. She told me she would text me when she left after work. She didn't, and that's when I got worried. She turned Snap Map off, so I checked our Life 360, she was heading for his house again. My heart bursted immediately and I called her. I asked her what she was doing. She was again clearly upset that I called her. She told me that she couldn't get rid of him completely because he was in her friend group, and that they were just meeting at his house before they went out. I called BS, and she retreated to blaming me again, telling me all my flaws, saying it like maybe she should dump me, that I'm just not compatible with her, that I'm the problem. She said she stopped somewhere once I called. I drove to her location, and lo and behold, the side piece was in the car with her. Once I pulled up, they both got out of the car and kissed each other and made sure I saw it. I was destroyed. I blocked her on everything. I never spoke to her again after that. She tried to stay in contact with me through my friend, who she messaged on Instagram. She kept telling him that she still loved and cared about me, that she wants him not to block her so she can make sure I'm okay. She said she wanted me to move on. I requested that we have a last talk since we never got a chance, and she rebuffed every time saying it's too fresh and that I need more time to think. My friend finally blocked her recently. In my head I was going through all the different scenarios trying to manifest a reality where she did love me, that she was just confused and she just needed time apart. I was in massive amounts of emotional pain thinking about everything for days on end. I couldn't sleep. I could even sleep in my own bed because I'd be reminded of her there next to me. I lost weight because I couldn't eat. I stopped doing any of my hobbies because nothing made me happy anymore. Eventually, recently, I was recommended her new side piece's Instagram, and you remember that romantic vacation we planned together? Well, she took her side piece with her on it instead of me. I was unimaginably pissed. At that point I knew everything I needed to know, and I didn't want to talk to her anymore. I didn't want to know why. Because now I know why. She's a horrible, horrible ducking person. She did it because she's selfish and never even thought or cared about how I would feel. I'm just left here shattered and she's off doing whatever with her new piece. It's unfair. It's infuriating. I never did anything to deserve this treatment. I never did any wrong to her, unless if she thinks me finding out she's a cheater is doing her wrong. I don't understand why I have to be treated like that and why I deserve to feel this way. She should be the one suffering. It's so painful, so unimaginably painful. 4 years of my life just feel like a complete waste. Like I was played for 4 years. Redditor's reactions update after. Redditor 1, just remember that you dodged the bullet. This behavior would have occurred much later, after marriage. Redditor follow-up, so much this, imagine having children with her and having to see her and communicating with her for almost the rest of your life. Redditor 2, Her time will come. Nothing good will come out of that relationship. Be patient. It is still too early. Make sure when she tries to come back to you, which she will, to ignore her. Her kind of heartless people should be North Carolina for the rest of your life. She is trouble. Remember that always. Answer, that's what I worry about. Her crawling back again. Right now I feel like it's obvious I'd shut her down, but I don't know what essay she might try to pull, or what she might say. She never really had to deal with much competition over me, so she never had to cope with feeling jealous over other girls in our relationship. I have a feeling she might lash out if I find another person and she finds out. So I think her resurgence in my life might be sooner than later. She's already made an effort to try and track how I'm doing and what I'm doing. She's very clearly a very immature and vindictive person. I'm afraid she's trying to spy on me because she wants to make sure I fail, to make her feel better about what she did. Redditor 3, I don't want to tell you how to grieve. It's an individual thing. But the thing that worked for me tremendously other than IC was taking all the pain, heartbreak, and mental anguish and letting it fuel me to work harder at work for a promotion, could be school for someone too. Get in the best physical shape of my life, I know it's cliché but it works, and get closer to family and friends whom you might have drifted from during the relationship. Use all that city feelings to fuel yourself to a better life. Because the best revenge is when you're crushing it, and you're doing great a year from now, and you don't even think of her and yet she's probably regretting her decision with the other clown. Update. I just don't understand how she could be so cruel. I've already told my story, so I won't go too much into details. But I don't understand why she was so cruel to me when it all ended, when I found out the second time. It eats me alive, it fills me with so much hate. I don't understand. Just a day before she was telling me she loved me, and that our future would be incredible. She kissed him in front of me, she made sure I saw it. Why would she do that? What did I do to deserve it? I never treated her wrong, ever, and I would never do something like that. We planned a trip together, just for us, in fact, just for me, as she said. She said it was to help me feel better, to prove she still loved me. What does she do after I find out the second time? She goes on the trip with her AP instead and makes sure the pictures are on the internet. I don't understand. She doesn't deserve to be happy, she doesn't deserve that vacation. Neither of them do. It's fucking infuriating. I have so much anger because of this, I don't understand what to do with it. And it eats away at me, I can't stop thinking about it. I have horrible thoughts, of just strangling her, smothering her, anything, I want her to suffer. But I can't do any of it. Update, what do you do to stop thinking about it? I want to stop thinking about it, but I can't. It's not even just because things remind me of her, it's that I just can't stop thinking about what she might be doing right now, how much I'm suffering and how she's carried on with her life with no shame or remorse. I want to carry on but I can't stop thinking about the lies and all the acid she did. I can use anger to motivate myself, but only for certain things. It's affecting my work and school, I can't focus. I know it hasn't been long since yet, and I should be patient, but I need to stay on track with my life, and even just that has become difficult because of what she did. I do see a therapist, and talking about it helps. But it never stops coming back. I'm not in contact with her in any way at all either, so it's not like this is because she's still lingering around in my life. I don't know what to do. Sometimes I'll be okay and I'll forget about it for a little while, then it hits and I'm just not motivated to do anything. Redditor's reactions update after Redditor 1, sorry to hear that I'm in the same boat. I can't forget this woman, and I can't forget the last 12 years so easily. I always tell myself it will be better tomorrow, but it isn't. I constantly think about what she's doing right now and why she doesn't want to know how I am. It's just not fair how they could move on so easily. Nothing is fun anymore to me. It feels like a depression, but I still don't know what I could do to get my life together and have fun again, so I just wait. Maybe one day the pain is gone. Redditor 2, honestly, I just focus on my life. Work, family responsibilities, interests, hobbies, goals. I keep my mind on those things, and focus on how good things have become. Being betrayed by an intimate partner is traumatic, and traumatic events are not easy to just get over. Trauma lingers, and unless you have some help and some healthy outlets, it doesn't let go. Even with the right coping mechanisms, the memories will return. The pain that comes with them will fade in time, but it will still be discomforting. But if your present is better than your past, and if you are focusing on your present, while optimistically planning for your future, you will find that the past won't drag you down nearly as much anymore. At least, that's been the case with me. I live a good life now. I have a career that pays well, I have my son living with me, who loves me very much and I him, and I have good people in my life, including a GF who actually knows what loyalty is. I have interests that bring enjoyment in my life, and I have goals for the future that are rewarding to pursue. With all these things, I find I don't really have much time and energy to focus on the affair that hit me in the past, and even when I do remember it, it holds no real power over me. To me, it's just something that happened, and the person who committed the betrayal is the one paying for it. It's no longer something for me to ruminate on. Find things in your life that bring you enjoyment and fulfillment, then focus on that. Work on making your present life a better one, and pay attention to how good it is. You'll soon find that the past and the person who betrayed you will no longer be something worth thinking about, and you most likely won't be thinking much about it. Give your mind something better to focus on. Redditor 3, you need to distract yourself with something you enjoy, self-care, etc. For me it's small things like doing a face mask, hair treatment, reading a book, going to the gym, etc. Have things to look forward to, book holidays, gigs, events. RIP my bank account. Also think to yourself, is this relevant to my life now? When you find yourself filling your head with intrusive thoughts. If it's not relevant to your life now, why waste any brain space on it? Update: why did she immediately beg for me back? I don't understand how someone could do this. It's something, among other things, that keeps me up at night. After I found out the first time, she immediately bursted into tears and begged for forgiveness. She told me everything she thought I wanted to hear. I know I should have dropped her right then. I really regret not doing that. But how could you cheat on someone, beg for them back, try and say everything to comfort them and make them feel like you're committed, only to do it again and ruin everything, then immediately get back with AP and move on with him? I just don't understand. It hurts so much that everything during that period was just a lie, everything she did or said. All for nothing. It feels like I've been violated, like I've just been used and discarded like a toy. Why wouldn't she just end it? Every night I wish she could have just ended it, instead of cheat on me and put me through torture. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1, she wanted to keep your relationship until she was sure that AP would commit. That's why she apologized at first, when you caught her. She was still working on getting that commitment from the AP, though, and left once she did. You were the backup plan. Your willingness to fall for it once probably makes her believe you might take her back if the new relationship doesn't work out. Go no contact forever. Don't ever be someone's backup plan. Op answer, she didn't leave though. I caught her a second time with the AP. Then I cut her off. Literally the morning I caught her she was telling me she wanted to try and that she loved me. I don't get it. Redditor 2, cheaters are cake eaters. In cheating your wife did not pick the other man over you. Your wife picked both you and the over just you. That is why she did it behind your back instead of just leaving you to be with the It is a matter of simple math. No matter how much better you are than the other man, you plus the other man is always going to be greater than you alone. Mathematically, if the OM's desirability rating equals X, and your desirability rating equals Y, then X plus Y would always be greater than X no matter what X or Y were X plus Y. To a cheater this would always be true no matter how hard you worked to push your rating up, as you would always be competing against yourself. Redditor 3, it's what happens as they run out of options. You caught her? This was bad for her because most affairs aren't exit affairs. They are distractions to paper over the cracks in the short term. You were never meant to find out, so she was totally unprepared for what might happen, as a result of her betrayal being unearthed. So she attempted to move things back to the status quo. She made lots of promises, excuses and said she'd do anything in the hope that something stuck and you wouldn't leave. She may have even believed that she could make good on them at the time. But basically, she wanted the bad things to stop happening to her immediately and to get back in control and have things happen to the timeline she wants. All these promises were made quickly without any thought as to whether she had the will to deliver them or the capability. All this was done whilst there was a clear and present threat that you would leave and she'd be left high and dry. However, as time moved on, the temptation of AP was just too much. The threat of you leaving was pretty much alleviated. She wanted both you and AP. She had time to process what to do as the pressure of D-Day was over and she could really think about what she wanted and how to get it. Your relationship with her was strained, but basically at status quo in her view. She could manage it, so she felt able to recommence with AP. It probably started up again as something small, you okay? Which grew and soon they were back at it because she failed no contact. When she was discovered the second time, she lost you as an option. As AP is now a choice of one, she moved on with him. He was the only remaining option. Other than a total loss, that is, and she didn't want that. Besides, if she didn't move on with him, then all this would have been for nothing. She has a point to prove.